In this lecture, we'll continue to follow the development of slavery in America and also the development of the idea or meaning of liberty in the American colonies. And we're going to follow that progression through the end of the 7 Years' War, or the French and Indian War. In this examination, we'll look at the development of different slave systems in the Chesapeake and Southern colonies, but we'll also look at the rise of African American culture, religion, and slave resistance as well. And then we'll examine the concept of British freedoms, or the rights of Englishmen, and we'll look at the rise of republicanism and liberalism in the American colonies. And we'll see how the American colonists exercised their rights as Englishmen. We'll take a look at a couple of major movements that occurred during the 18th century, particularly the intellectual enlightenment and the religious Great Awakening, and we'll see how those two movements contributed to and expanded the ideas of liberty and the language of liberty. And finally, we'll examine the weakening grip of the French and Spanish empires in North America and the clash of imperial interests that led up to the 7 Years' War, or the French and Indian War. And of course, we'll also see from the outcome of that war how Anglo-Indian relations were severely impacted. Here's a look at the subtopics that we'll be covering in this lecture: slavery and empire, slave cultures and slave resistance, an empire of freedom, the public sphere, the Great Awakening, imperial rivalries, and battle for the continent. Each of these subtopics has been broken up into its own lecture so that you can navigate through them one at a time and take them in smaller doses, but also go back and revisit any one of these subtopics if needed without having to navigate your way through the entire section. And of course, as you listen to each of the lectures in this section, or after you've reviewed the entire section, if you have any questions at all on any of the content, please feel free to either email me or post your question to the coffee shop discussion board in Canvas so that your peers can get involved in the discussion as well.